Yo, what up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dubs Only podcast. We got another special guest, the first one we ever had on this show, Avi Karglas. Let's go ahead and bring him in. Yo, Avi, what's good? My guy right here, former co-worker, good friend, fantasy football league teammate. And then Avi,
Opponent.
Go ahead and just introduce yourself, man. Let the people know who you are again.
What's up? Yeah. Was I the first guest?
Yeah,
Was
the
I the
very
first
first one.
Like when we were just sitting on your couch back there?
Yeah.
What was that? That was right after
That was after
Miami. We watched Miami-Boston Game 7. We
Game
watched
7,
that.
the right
That
after reaction.
That was like before the finals. I think I remember saying that the Nuggets were going to win in 5, and that's what happened. Yeah, holy wow. I'm just trying to think. What was that, summer? I think I went to Austin for Kahoma State softball like right after that. So that must have been like late May of last year of 2023.
Yeah, that was before Macon for the summer. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was like I had roughly like 2 months left in West Texas, which is like it feels like forever ago. I was out there with you. Yeah, I don't know where to go with that. I'm out here in Green Bay now, Green Bay, Wisconsin. I kind of do everything. I work for the local NBC station, NBC 26. I do everything, and I literally mean like the holy trinity of local news. I report on the weather mostly on weekends, but sometimes during the week. And by report, I mean stand in front of the green screen and just give the people the forecast. And then I also MMJ. I do some news reporting as well. And then when I'm lucky, I get a chance to cover the world famous Green Bay Packers, who I don't know if anyone out there's ever heard of them, but they're kind of a big deal. So that's kind of where I'm at. That's crazy, Joe. I was just Jesse. I was thinking. I was talking to my friend Joey recently. That's my bad. But Jesse, I can't believe that it's been that long. It's good to talk to you, man.
You too, man. Emerson College's finest right here, my guy. Man. So we're gonna go straight into it. You cover the Packers. You've been there, training camp. Have you been to a game yet?
Technically, I went to a preseason game. They only had one preseason home game this year, and I was there for like 2.5 quarters. Mm-hmm. I got to sit in the press box, which is kind of nice. Just tagged along with our sports guys. That was cool. Man, Lambeau's so cool. I mean, I've been there a few times now. I've been in the Packers locker room a couple times, interviewed a couple players. Been in the Matt LaFleur presser. It's just really cool. I mean, I haven't done it too much, and I'm not doing it all the time, but it's just cool. I mean, you get to touch the sun a little bit, right? It's the NFL, it's the big leagues. There's nothing bigger, right? Like there's nothing. It doesn't matter that you're in Green Bay, Wisconsin. It's the NFL, and everybody cares about it. So yeah, I mean, Lambeau. I can't wait to be there for an actual game. I'm probably gonna do that later on because we got the Thanksgiving game. The Thanksgiving game, that's the big one circled because that's on our station, and it's here, and it's on Thanksgiving in prime time. Like I already told my folks, like, hey, I'm not coming home for Thanksgiving. I got a football game on, and it's on our station here too. So that's really cool. And then the draft is coming here in April, so that's a category of its own, man. This place is gonna be absolutely crazy. Don't ask me for nothing in August. Like I'm gonna be swamped. Traffic's gonna be way worse. Like, and it is like really easy to get around here. It's a really cool place to live.
So let's just go into the Green Bay Packers. Just from what you've seen, week 2, just what do you think the state of the Packers are right now?
I'll tell you what. Just being around here, like in this area, and kind of getting to like local SCUBA, everybody has kind of just been like, kind of been on edge since the end of that Brazil game, right? Like, I think it was disappointing that they lost because I think, and everyone here definitely saw that they could win the game. They were settling for field goals in the red zone early in the game, and then, all the yardage they gave up. Also, it's Brazil, the field, all that. There was all those storylines, but I think people could have taken a loss to the Eagles. What was really hard to swallow was the game ends and you have no idea if how bad the injury is with Jordan Love when he went down. And there was speculation going crazy. There was the crazy optimist, the crazy it's his ACL, he's done for the year, career altering injury, like the best and the worst. I actually got to be there at Austin Straubel Airport, the airport that's like 6 minutes from here, the Green Bay Airport. Special flight from Sao Paulo to Green Bay. That doesn't just happen, right? Green Bay doesn't have those kind of flights usually. I got to be there at the airport, and I actually got the video of him getting off the plane. It went crazy viral. Like ESPN asked me for it, Bleacher Report, Sports Illustrated, you name it. It was on Fox Sports, all that. NFL Network asked me. That was really cool. But the video of him getting off the plane was so I could see then just how anxious everyone was. Like, how is he walking? And there were 100 fans also there too. Like they were tracking the flight with me, except I was getting paid to be there and they weren't, which is the crazy part about the job. No, literally my shift was split that day because we didn't have a 6 o'clock that day. So I ended up going to the airport from 10 to almost 2. And that's also down the road from our station. Everything here is so close to each other. And so, I mean, you could just feel how anxious it was. And then the news came out that it wasn't an ACL tear. The meniscus is fine. It was an MCL sprain. And the whole area was just oh my God, we still have a shot. And then they were the fact that he wasn't put on IR. And then the fact that, okay, we got this guy, Malik Willis, who got here literally 3 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago. He's going to lead us to a win against the Colts. Really? Okay. And they did it. LaFleur, you got to give him a lot of credit. He game planned the hell out of that game. They ran the ball crazy well. Willis only had 2 completions on 14 attempts. They had I think 230 something rushing yards in the first half or something like that. That's absurd. And then their defense, they got a new defensive coordinator, Jeff Hafley, who was the head coach at Boston College. He came in and that was a big validation for him, only allowing 10 points. They still had a shot to win it late in the game, but they pieced it all together and they won the game. So now, I don't know if you saw, but Jordan Love was at practice today. That was the other piece of news. The week-to-week news here is so much more dialed in now to start the season because everyone wants constant updates on Love, right? They just gave him the contract for the season. He's the guy. You go from Favre to Rodgers to Love. He's next, right? And he's now. And for him to go down and maybe the season's over, that was scary. I'll tell you that. It's really scary. So until he's back on the field, playing well, playing who we know Jordan Love's going to be, I think it will take until then for people around here to okay, we're back on track, relax a little bit. But even then, it might take some time. Might need to see it for a couple of weeks. But I think that those have been the emotions that largely dominated the first couple of weeks of the season.
I saw a report that Love was a limited practice today over there. Limited practice today, and just you kind of mentioned already, kind of those pins and needles when they got off the plane just to see Jordan Love. So let's go to Malik Willis. Now we really don't know much about him in the NFL. He was with the Titans earlier, but then Will Levis came in, took the spot. And now that we have Malik Willis, he got the win. It wasn't really that pretty from his side, but he got the win. A win's a win in the NFL. It looks like
it was pretty here. It was pretty here. They had more points than the Colts, and that's what mattered. They looked really pretty here.
And just the fact that how you mentioned they went more with the run game. Just having Josh Jacobs here now, we know how it was for him going into last offseason, not getting that deal from the Raiders, now getting his deal with the Packers. Just how much do you see them riding that Josh Jacobs train going forward until Jordan Love does come back?
I mean, if Love isn't playing and you're starting Malik Willis, the run game is the best chance to win the game from an offensive standpoint for the Packers. I mean, they basically admitted that, after the Colts when they were yeah, we were trying to run the ball a lot. Now Love is practicing, and if they all the reports around Love's status were saying they weren't just game, the gamesmanship, right? Oh, Love could the week leading up to the Colts game, oh, he could play. Okay, maybe they knew he wasn't going to play, but maybe there was Like there's the chance of him actually playing was apparently like not bullshit. Like, sorry, I don't know if I can swear, but it wasn't made up. It wasn't made up. So the fact that he's already practicing now and it's Wednesday, like he could play. So like if Jordan Love is playing, like I'm not just saying this, but like in terms of the top 4 receivers on any given team, I don't know if the Packers can be matched. Like in terms of this pure depth of talent between Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Jaden Reed, who just blew up in week 1, and Dontavian Wicks. Those are like 4 uber talented, crazy talented receivers who would be racking up a ton of numbers on most other teams. But last year, like it was spread out so well, and they're all good at different things. So if Love that's the thing that's so dangerous about the Packers. If Love is healthy, like they are good enough that with Jacobs and Emmanuel Wilson, they had a talented rookie, Marshawn Lynch, Marshawn Lloyd. His name is Marshawn Lloyd. He was a 3rd-round running back. They just had to put him on IR. He was really explosive. A.J. Dillon, they had to put on season-ending IR before the season even started. So they had all these running back options, but still, Emmanuel Wilson, really talented backup. I saw him a lot in camp. He looked pretty good. And I was like, who's this 31 guy? And then, of course, Jacobs, like, he could do, like, he ran the ball a lot with the Raiders, of course. Like, as you know, he won a rushing title. But he's also really talented as a receiving back. So if Jacobs will be the focal point of a run-heavy offense with no Love, but also he will be like a wild card in an offense where Jordan Love can spread it out and has 4 uber talented receivers, a couple of young quality tight ends, that like this offense can really do anything with Love. It's still an offense that could, claw and, backyard fight you to a win like they did against the Colts. But you put Love in there, and I mean, the ceiling is competing for the Super Bowl.
Now let's flip to the opposite side of the ball. We got the defense, who got some stellar ballers on them. You got Jair Alexander at the corner. You have Rashawn Gary. You have all these type of players that the Packers do have. And just what do you think? How do you think they're going to be going forward? Because you kind of have to rely on them more to just get the ball, get the more possessions to the offense.
Well, they switched their defense with, again, their new defensive coordinator, right? Like that was the big coaching hire, Jeff Hafley, of the defense, and they switched to a 4-3. They have more guys up front now. Preston Smith, Lucas Van Ness, who was a first-round pick a couple of years ago, Quay Walker, linebacker. They got some good pressure on Richardson in week 2. And then Evan Williams, rookie safety, Eric Stokes, like guys who can really help in the secondary. I mean, it's almost like Keyshawn Nixon, another guy who I interviewed as well. They have so much talent. Like they have a lot of talent on that defense, and they have a lot of strong young players on that team with some veterans. Kenny Clark, who's been there for like 8-9 years at this point, maybe 10 years. Defensive tackle. Like they have a lot of talent on that team. And like last year, they weren't a highly rated defense, and everyone thought they played down to their talent level. Week 1 was not great against the Eagles. They showed a really encouraging sign. I mean, the Packers don't win without their defense. I mean, that they held the Colts offense a really talented quarterback in Richardson, running back in Taylor, good receivers, held them to 10 points. And took the ball away. Xavier McKinney, I can't even forgot to mention him. Big safety signing this offseason. They just have a lot of talent, and so if they can do what they did against the Colts and replicate something like that going forward, that could be one of the best defenses in the league, which has not been the case the last couple of years with them.
Now, so let's just say, is there still hope for the Packers? I know it's early; it's week 2.
Oh yeah,
but
what do you mean still hope?
But we know the NFC North going into the season was viewed as possibly one of the best, most competitive divisions in the NFL. I mean, the only undefeated team on there, I want to say, is going to be the Vikings 2-0, who the Packers are playing this weekend. All the rest are 1-1.
The Packers are playing the Titans.
Yeah, are they?
The Vikings are week 4, and I know that because that
You're right.
Vikings game at Lambeau Field, I'd have to double check this, but that is the most expensive home ticket this season for the Packers because people here hate the Vikings. Like, and also it's not a terrible drive from Minnesota to here, but like wear purple anywhere, you're gonna get a stink eye. Like people don't like, I don't know what it is, maybe just because they've been around so long, and the Vikings have never really, like in their history, been like god awful, at least not for a really long time. They've been like, they've come and flowed, but for the most part they've been like at least decent, and if not really good in the playoffs. They just haven't won the Super Bowl, so like everyone hates the Vikings. So I'm just saying, like, that's why I know. But if you're asking about the hope, like the hope hung in the balance with when Love was on the ground in Brazil. That was the hope. As long as Love is healthy and the guys around him for the most part healthy, there's always hope. I mean, he's the real deal. That guy is the real freaking deal, Jordan Love.
So you're saying there's still, of course, I mean, again, the season's still young. We still got a whole bunch of time. It just depends on when Love is going to get back. Now, they kind of have, like, I don't want to say a layup type game with the Titans, but in a sense, it's kind of like a layup game from what we've seen the last 2 weeks from the Titans and Will Levis just making bonehead play after bonehead play.
Yeah.
Just trying to do too much with the effort and stuff like that. And kind of like it's a revenge game for Malik Willis because the Titans did give up on him. So it's kind of how
if he plays,
I would kind of look at it like not a get right game, but more of like I would say more kind of like I want to say preseason game because the games are legit, but more like I guess in a preseason it's like a warm up game going for that Minnesota game because we know just how competitive division rival games are.
Yeah, especially that one. It's not viewed that way around here. I think the thinking and the feeling is like, let's get him back first because I mean they lost in Brazil, right? That was not fun. They come back here and win, but everyone knows this is not what the peak Packers are going to look like. Like people know this is not with Jordan Love. So the best that the Packers can look, we know that that's not a fair expectation for the team that played in week 2, you know?
Hold on, we're going to get back.
No.
All right. He's back.
All right, where'd you lose me?
The peak of the Packers, we haven't seen them yet.
Yeah, no, well, yeah. I mean, they won in week 2, right? Mm-hmm. But everyone knew that they had to win a different way, and that is not the peak version of the Packers. Like nobody's expecting a Super Bowl team because of Malik Willis. Like Malik Willis played his game. He executed the game plan great. He did exactly what like the Packers needed him to do to help win that game. Don't really know if you can ask for much more than what we got from him in week 2. But everyone knows this is not the Packers offense at its highest. It's highest when you have the guy that you gave the big contract to for the season, Jordan Love. So I think people just want to see their team again. Like they want to see their offense again. And they got glimpses of that in Brazil. Even so, that was disappointing. So it's a game that they should win. They should win because coming back here 1-2 would be tough against the Vikings. But people just want to make sure that their team's okay. And again, as I was saying, the anxiety started at the end of that game in Brazil. Again, losing was hard, but I think that was like another level of it. And until he comes back and plays well, and they keep winning the games they're supposed to, like in Tennessee, that's all people will care about. So nobody's looking past this game. Let's take care of business. Let's look the way we know we can look and win.
And if you had to put like what week he'll come back, when do you think that would be?
I have no idea. I mean, the fact that he's practicing this early in the week is definitely not a bad thing. It's a good thing. He had a sleeve on his leg today. I have no idea when, but I mean, if he's practicing, there's a greater than 0% chance than last week or not, or greater than 0% chance that he plays, right? Because he's practicing. So, I mean, I'm only basing that off of the fact that he's practiced.
Now let's transition from the team that you follow to the team that you root for.
Oh, do we have to?
The Cleveland Browns. I mean,
do we have to talk about them? Oh, no.
The Cleveland Browns. I mean, the reactionary just shows right there. Just what are your thoughts on the Cleveland Browns going into week 3 now? You seen the first 2 weeks of them? Just what do you think about them?
What are my thoughts? Oh, jeez.
It's your therapy session, Avi. Go ahead. Let it all out.
Oh, no. It's so, I don't know, man. Do you want me to, like, where do you want me to start, man? Like, I need a little bit more direction where you want me to go to start. Because there's so many different directions I could take that question. Like, what do you want me to, give me something and I'll go at it. Like, what part of the Browns you want me to, because, Jesus. The Browns.
I guess we'll hit the nail with the hammer. Deshaun Watson, your quarterback, the one you guys paid all this money for, made the trade. Just what's up with him? We know he's got himself in some more trouble. Another lawsuit coming. We don't know what that's going to lead to. We'll touch on that when more of that comes to light. But just from the athlete perspective, from what you've seen these first 2 weeks, let's start with that.
Yeah, I mean, that is the big, whatever you think about anything, right? Obviously the biggest story around the Cleveland Browns is Deshaun Watson, the quarterback, and the guy that gave him 240 million. I should know that number more confidently. 240 million, every penny guaranteed. Like, they cut him and they pay him every penny of that contract. I mean, this is Chad, like, you know Mario Kart, right?
Yes.
You know Mario Kart? So, like, the power up that you get, like, the storm cloud, right? And, like, if you don't bump off to something, it's a cloud that's just gonna shock you, make you really small and tiny and slow, right? The only way to get rid of it is to bump somebody else, right? Everybody's played Mario Kart knows what I'm talking about. So the Houston Texans had this power up, and they bumped into the Browns. And the power up isn't like the power up. The power up is cool, right? Like, when you're in Mario Kart, you go for those power ups, right? Because they can help you win the race, right?
Yeah,
that makes sense, right? But also, if you get the cloud and you gotta bump it up somebody. If you don't bump it up to somebody, or you get bumped with it, like, you're playing with fire, or it's at the point where you're not playing with fire, you're already burnt. And I can't tell if the Browns are still playing with fire or they've already been burnt. And everything I've seen makes it seem like they've already been burnt, because, like, is the juice, like, you got to wonder at the end of the day, is the juice worth the squeeze, right? Like, and what I mean by that, right? Like, Deshaun Watson has all these allegations against him. I think it was his 27th accuser, if I'm not mistaken, who filed this civil suit against him. And it's crucial. It's a civil suit, because if it was a criminal suit, then a bunch of other things open up. And the fact that all of these, the Browns got him in the first place, or the Browns and other teams decided to pursue the chance to acquire him because a grand jury, or a couple grand juries, I think, declined to pursue criminal charges or indict him with criminal, like, violation. There was no path towards criminal proceedings, I believe, something in that realm. And that's the reason that multiple teams decided that it was okay to go for him. And so this lawsuit is civil, I believe. And so that's another reason why I'm not 100% sure if this is going to change anything. But with all that going on, like, the trade-off that they made was, or that they thought they were making was, okay, this isn't great, right? That this guy is getting accused of all things. I don't care what it is. It's not good that he's being accused of it. Whether he did it or not, that's beyond my realm of control or possibility or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
but like, that's not good that he's being accused of all these things. And then on top, like, you would think, okay, at least we're getting a star. We're getting a great, not a good quarterback, but a great quarterback, and even like an elite quarterback, and they paid him like one, and an unprecedented contract. And that like hasn't even gotten close.
And I want to go now. You mentioned all that stuff. Now, all that stuff has to kind of like play with you mentally, just going through all that stuff. And from what you've seen from the play with him, and then also with the action with his teammates, it was different from what you saw from when Joe Flacco was taking over compared
No
to
kidding.
Watson. It's night and day. So you think that the Browns not being able to bring Joe Flacco back just to be, let's say, a backup or just be there for a locker room presence, do you think how much of a factor do you think that is going into this season? Because it's kind of evident from his play and then the body language of his teammates.
Well, the reason they didn't get rid of Joe Flacco because he didn't play well, because he did play well until the playoffs. But they didn't get rid of him because of that. They got rid of him because if Watson stops playing well, I mean, I shouldn't even say stops not playing well, like, because look, he hasn't really played well. Like as soon as Watson messes up, everyone's screaming for Flacco because they have a guy on the team that has proven that he can do this on your team. That's why they got rid of him. Like, he hasn't done it. Like Watson hasn't looked even close to it. And yeah, you talk about like mentally messing with you. What's the best case scenario, like football wise, when you trade for Deshaun Watson? What's the best case scenario? The best case scenario football wise is that he's a star and the Browns win a Super Bowl because of him. I just want you to take a moment and process what I just said, Jesse. I just said that Deshaun Watson leads the Cleveland Browns to a Super Bowl in this best case scenario, because that is the best case scenario football wise. First of all, the Cleveland Browns winning the Super Bowl is a sentence that I just associate with Madden and football simulations and not within the bounds of possibilities or reality, right? Okay, growing up a Browns fan, you learn a lot about life's not fair. You can't always win, right? You learn a lot of life lessons.
I'm a Chargers fan, Avi. I know you're struggling.
You don't know anything. No. You don't know anything. You didn't get a parade thrown when you went 0-16. Oh wait, you didn't go 0-16. You didn't have when I was born, the Cleveland Browns weren't playing football because they were still on break from when Baltimore and Art Modell took our team. Okay, the horrific losses before I was born, the cardiac kids, heartbreaking fashion, the doorstep to just getting to the Super Bowl. Like, this is generations. My father and his father went through. Like, this is not. I'm not a Browns fan because I'm choosing to be a Browns fan. I'm a Browns fan because I was born into this, and that this is like a tenet of my relationship with my dad and my brothers and my sister and my mom. Like, everyone, like, this goes back generations. Like, nobody is just choosing this misery. I'm not choosing this. This is my reality and something that I had to accept early in life. That this is, hey, listen, any girlfriend or wife I have in the future, I'll never cheat on you. Why? Like, how do you know that? Like, I didn't cheat on these motherfuckers and they abuse me every week. Like, the Cleveland Browns are a different type of lifestyle, of fandom. They're a different type of human being that can tolerate a lot. I mean, and this is just a different level of it. Because, like, again, the misery that us Browns fans have had, that if you reach the best case scenario, which is breaking the curse, just getting to a Super Bowl, much less winning a Super Bowl, and in that ultimate best case scenario, that is not possible. I mean, I just say that only half kidding. There's only like the cap of happiness and excitement is lessened from everyone else, because they did it with Watson, and people will always feel a certain way about him for the rest of the time now. Justifiably or unjustifiably, that's not what I'm saying, but like, even in that best case scenario, which is just, I can't even like properly imagine it. It's not like there's a little bit of rain on the parade still. and for a lot of people, and justifiably so in a lot of cases. Maybe not as in others, but it's a different level of torture. Like, do I want the Browns to lose so that they can get rid of this guy? Like, that's a real thought. Like, like there's losing to like get the hot quarterback prospect and tanking in the NBA and all these teams, right? Get better draft picks. But then there's like, I just want this guy to not do well, and so we can like justify getting rid of his ass. Like, that's a real thought I've had to think about if I believe that or not with this guy. It's geez, Jesse, I'd rather keep talking about the Packers.
Well,
oh my God, this is so sad.
You still got it looks like 2 more years left on the contract at 25 and 26. He's still a young guy, but we'll see how it goes. And so we talked about the NFC North being one of the most competitive going into the season. Now, the AFC North has also been viewed as one of the most competitive conferences for some time now.
One of the most competitive divisions. Yeah,
easily the most physical one of all time.
Every team had a winning record last year. All 4. When do you see that? That's crazy.
And now we're only 2 weeks in. The only 2 teams that have wins are your Cleveland Browns and you have your Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, when we look at the whole quarterback situation regarding the whole AFC North, you have Fields with the Steelers. We kind of don't know where that's going to go. It's kind of like ugly football, but still winning football. Mike
Tomlin's one of the greatest coaches ever. He's one of the 5 best coaches ever.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody does more
every year. You have your Cleveland Browns with Deshaun Watson. We just had a little full conversation, so we don't got to go back into that. You have Joey Burrow with the Cincinnati Bengals. We know how they are. Always to a slow start, but then find a way to cook up later down in the season. And then you have Lamar Jackson with the Ravens, who everybody's viewing as the best team in the NFC North and the AFC North, but haven't really shown that so far in these first 2 weeks. So just going forward into week 3 and beyond, just what are your thoughts going into the AFC North and just all the hectic stuff that can happen, that can be shown, especially with how much talent is loaded in this in this division.
Well, I'll say it again. If you count all players, coaches, or everyone who directly affects the game, if you put them all on a list, like Mike Tomlin is number 1. Like I despise the Steelers, but Mike Tomlin is. I mean, they've had like 3 head coaches since my parents were born. Yeah, like that's ridiculous. Or like 2 or 3 coaches since the moon landing. Like that's insane. Okay, so I mean, I just think of the Browns in that time, and just geez. But Mike Tomlin is unbelievable, and the Pittsburgh Steelers have never had a losing record, ever. Like, they don't have bad years. Now they'll say, "Oh, well, we're not gonna compete for a Super Bowl." Maybe not, but they're always a bitch to play. Just it doesn't matter because Mike Tomlin is amazing. He's just amazing. I hate to say it, but Mike Tomlin is unbelievable. He's one of the best 5 coaches ever. And as long as he is the head coach in Pittsburgh, the Steelers will have a chance to win every single game. I don't care. I just don't that's not exaggeration. At any given week, it doesn't matter who's on the team, the Pittsburgh Steelers can win. I have that much respect for Mike Tomlin because he is the reason. Like, he is amazing. And they do have great players. TJ Watt is just like on another planet. Former Buckeye Cameron Hayward is an OG. Like, the Steelers will be good week to week basis. They're not gonna win 13 games this year, but holy crap, it's Mike Tomlin. Like, I hate that I've already talked as much about them because I hate the Steelers. But and then you have like Lamar, who's just there's no other player in the league like him. And then Joe Burrow, it's all about health. Which is crazy that we're saying about him and not Lamar, because Lamar had missed some time earlier in his career. But they're both 0-2, and I'm like, okay, great. But I mean, each of them lost to the Chiefs, and the Chiefs they're all over the place. Like, they're a different team than everyone else for a number of reasons, culturally, the fact that they've won 3 Super Bowls with Mahomes and been to four, yeah, like they've been to 4, I think, 5 straight AFC championships, I think.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I do take that into account. Like each of them has a loss against Kansas City by like the craziest slim margins, but still. And they're both in Kansas City too. So I do think this will be a lot more competitive as we go on for the rest of the season. I talked way too much about the Steelers. I hate that.
Well, that's gonna wrap up what we got for this week. Appreciate you, Avi. You know, we're gonna have you more on here more often. Just what do you think? What are your thoughts of being on here?
I mean, I like that you're like back to doing this, man, or have been doing this for a little bit while now. I think you'll get a lot, you know, you'll kind of find what you're more comfortable with or less comfortable with as you keep doing this. Like it's cool to see you like going at it, and you know, I miss the people in West Texas, so you know that's where I miss the most. So it's just good to talk to you, man. But yeah, I mean, I hope that as my experiences around here and with the Packers as their season goes on, you know, if I get more of that and do more of that, then I'll have a lot more to say and a lot of cool things to say and more firsthand. Like this is what I saw. So yeah, excited.
Appreciate you, Avi. You know, I'm gonna hit you up for next time when we need you. So yeah, I will catch you later, big dog. Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you too, man.